I'm going to join you today with an analogy. For those who may not know, an analogy is a comparison between two things that might not directly catch our attention as being related. And kind of with the analogy that I'm giving today, it certainly doesn't necessarily seem like two things that are related. I mean, when we think of superheroes, do we think of cups of coffee? Probably not. But that's kind of what the analogy actually is. So we shall henceforth dub this the coffee analogy. In any case, today I encountered a disaster. Specifically, it was a coffee disaster. It was the worst kind of possible thing that could happen to a writer. Because basically what happened was I took my coffee, I prepared it and everything. I took my coffee and I put it in the microwave and I pressed a button for 4 minutes. And then I walked away. Now, anyone who might have a brain or who has ever experienced something like this before, either one, you're probably thinking, okay, 4 minutes with a liquid that when it gets hot, it boils over. Yeah. And I walked away from it. So basically when the microwave dinger went ding, I went over there, opened it up, and my coffee was all over the bottom of the base of the microwave. Heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. So I was stuck with a tiny amount of coffee when I was expecting a large amount of coffee. And basically it totally broke my heart. Now, that is what we call a disaster. But it's on a very, very small scale. I mean, if we think about who this disaster actually is affecting, well, because I'm talking about it, it affects you as well. Yay! But on a more like interactive kind of like real life situation, who does it actually affect? Okay, it affects me because I need my coffee, and even though usually I don't drink coffee in the afternoon, I now have no coffee because it's all everywhere and I don't really want to be sucking it up through like a straw from the bottom of the microwave. That's just disgusting, and I'm not going to do that. If I had a dog that liked coffee and waited until the temperature like cooled off, then maybe I would have the dog clean it up. But as it was, the first way that it affected me was that it destroyed my coffee and I had no coffee left. And the second way that it affected me was that I had to clean it up. But once those two things were done, once I cleaned it up and once I had no coffee, basically it didn't affect anyone else. And that's the whole idea of the disaster is where the analogy comes into play. Superheroes are people that take care of disasters. But the disasters that they take care of affect many more people than just the individual. This coffee incident was a personal disaster for me because I was really looking forward to having that cup of coffee. But with like the disasters that people like the Hood of Justice and the Justice League and the Titans, the Teen Titans and the Titan Patrol, all of these individuals deal with disasters on a much larger basis. They're bigger than life. And they're so big that they really do affect the lives of lots and lots and lots of people. And I think that's one of the greatest things that draws us to these superheroes, because we do see these people who are making a difference not only in their own lives, but in the lives of the people around them. And in a very big kind of cosmic way. I mean, even with someone like Batman who doesn't necessarily, or let's say Green Arrow or Batman or Batgirl or Batwoman or it doesn't matter, the list goes on. But with all of these individuals, they do make a very significant difference to the lives of the people around them. And those differences, those interactions, and those connections are pretty poignant. And I think that it gives us something to kind of hope for. And maybe in real life, there really aren't people who, or aren't that many, I should say, people that go out of their way to really impact the day-to-day disasters in our lives so profoundly, but they are out there. And like the people that immediately come to mind are fire department, people in the fire department, people in the Coast Guard, even the people that you encounter on a day-to-day basis, like at a restaurant, or who, when your hands are full with bags and you need to cross the street, and someone the driver in the car next to you, or like on the lane, stops and lets you go first. Those are small, very impactful things. And so even though we may not be necessarily dealing with the disasters that that Green Arrow or Batwoman deal with, they certainly are disasters. And I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say. I was gonna leave you with a fantastic ending, but I ran out of things to say simply because, I have no coffee left because the microwave spilled all my coffee everywhere, so my mind is not working. But yeah, that's the analogy that I'm making. I'm making the analogy that that the disasters of an everyday life are basically the same kinds of disasters that superheroes deal with. Only the disasters that they deal with are much, much, much bigger, and they affect far more than just themselves. Anyway, think about that next time you go to microwave some coffee. But probably the better lesson to take from this is, if you are going to microwave coffee, make sure you don't wander too far, and that you have it at increments so that you can check on it to see if it's spilled all over, instead of just 4 minutes of boiling away, going blah, 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 and bubbling all over the place, because that just leaves messes. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time.